feels to be here on this beautiful day out in the sunshine in such a historic setting. The first president of the United States that ever came here, I'm told, was George Washington. And you know, Virginia had a lot to do with leading our country and forming it. And I am so proud that you have as your governor a great leader like Terry McAuliffe. Yay! I know he's the shy and retiring type, but I think there's a real lesson, not only in what he did when he ran for your governorship, but when he has served for you. He set out a progressive agenda. He laid out very clearly what he wanted to do. And then he got to work doing it. In addition to all of the promises he made that he has kept, he has continued with enthusiasm and energy to try to lift up the people of the Commonwealth. He's not trying to divide people and set them against each other, is he? No! He's trying to bring people together to get better jobs and rising incomes and make sure the children of Virginia get the health care they need, the nutrition that they need. Yeah. And he's had a great team. I want to thank Dick Zaslow, the Democratic leader in the Virginia State Senate, who is here. Congressman Don Beyer, whose district we are in, all the elected officials. And Virginia, you do have a big election coming up in 2 weeks. And it really matters that you come out and vote, because it will determine how much more Terry can get done in the years remaining in his term. He's already, as he said, helped to drive down the unemployment rate, create and bring more jobs to Virginia. Think of what he could do for you if he had partners in the state Senate and the state House. I thank everybody for coming out here today, but I especially thank the veterans, the active duty service members, and I thank the military families who are representing here today. I know a lot of you are taking time out from your jobs and your families to be here, and I really appreciate it, because you know how important this election is. It's going to have a big impact on the future for us, for our families, and for our country. And we're facing a very stark choice. Either we're going to build on the progress we've made under President Obama, or we're going to give Republicans another chance to tear down everything we've worked so hard to build.
Science.
I know that the Republicans would rather have us forget, but I remember. When President Obama came into office, he was facing the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression. I remember meeting with him. He called me shortly after the election, asked me to come to Chicago. I didn't know why at the time. Turned out he wanted me to be his Secretary of State, which I was very honored. But we spent the first part of our conversation talking about how bad things were. Here he was, this new, young, dynamic president, and the Republicans on the way out the door saying, hey, by the way, we're losing 800,000 jobs a month. The auto industry is on the brink of collapse, taking millions more jobs with it. And President-elect Obama said, you know, it's so much worse than they told us.
Yep.
And he got to work. And we've come a long way.
Yeah!
I don't think President Obama gets the credit he deserves for leading us out of that great been a Great Depression. He rescued the auto industry. He began the crackdown on Wall Street abuses. And on top of that, he helped 18 million more Americans get health insurance. The other day in the Rose Garden, Democrats should be proud of that record of achievement, and we should defend it.
Yeah. Tell it, girl.
But you know, every election's about the future, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's a lot more work that has to be done.
Well, hire me.
President Obama, Vice President Biden would be the first to say that. And I know they'll both be fighting the fights that they have been committed to after they leave office. But when I look at what we have to do, I'm filled with excitement and optimism. I'm not running for President Obama's third term. I'm not running for Bill Clinton's third term. I'm running for my first term. Their records should make Democrats proud, and they should make Americans proud.
Yeah.
You know, I spent the first part of this campaign traveling across our country listening to people. I visited folks in their homes, schools, businesses, and I listened. I listened as they told me about their lives, the good, the bad. It's amazing when you run for office, if you actually listen, people will open their hearts to you. They will tell you things that maybe their family members or their neighbors certainly don't know. And here's what I've heard. People feel like after 6.5 years of hard work and sacrifice, America is standing again. But we're not running yet the way we should. For most people, paychecks haven't budged in years. The minimum wage should be called what it is, a poverty wage. Many women, yes, still, in 2015, many women are paid less than men for doing the same work.
Yeah.
And women of color earn even less. Just this week, the Department of Labor released new data showing that as our economy gets stronger, men's pay is going up more than twice as fast as women's pay. Meanwhile, the cost of everything from college to prescription drugs keeps going up. Inequality is a huge problem in America, and we cannot go back to the policies that actually made it worse. In the 1990s, at the end of 2 terms of my husband, we had not only 23 million new jobs, we had incomes rising for everybody. The rich, the middle class, working folks, the poor. Everybody was getting ahead. Look at what's happening now. And why is that?
War.
It's because we haven't focused on what the central economic issue is. How do we get incomes rising again? And how do we begin to rein in the costs that are such a burden to so many Americans? Look at the way student debt is weighing people down.
Killing my kid.
40 million Americans have student debt. How many of you in this crowd have student debt? Well, I've got a plan so that you can refinance it and get out from under that student debt and get on with your lives to be productive in the economy. And listen to this, in many states, quality child care is more expensive than college tuition. How on earth are families, particularly single mother families, single father families, how on earth are they going to be able to do their jobs and take care of their kids when I'm president? achieving paid family leave. It's amazing we're the only advanced economy with no program. And when people ask me about it and they say, well, how can we do this? I said, well, you know, California's had a program for a while. Yeah. Other states are finally coming around. It will really help middle class and working families. And we still haven't passed comprehensive immigration reform, which has brought out some of the worst in our Republican candidates running for president. I'm running for president because after listening to people across our country, your fights are my fights. And I won't quit until all Americans have a chance to get ahead and stay ahead again. You know, a lot of things have been said about me, but quitter is not one of them. Middle-class families get that raise, and to fight for small businesses that create most of the jobs in America, to make sure that when a company does well, it's not just the shareholders and executives who benefit, it's also the people who work at that company. They should be able to share in the profits of that company. And I'm running not only to make life a little easier for working parents, but to close that wage gap, because women deserve fair pay. Yes! The other day in New Hampshire, a young man came up to me, probably mid-20s, and he said, I want to tell you why I'm for you. I said, please, thank you. He said, I got my first real job when I was 17. I went to work as a cashier in a store near where I lived. It was a store where my mother was already working as a cashier, and she had raised me by herself. So I was really proud. I put on a short sleeve white shirt and a tie, and I went to work in that store. First payday, I bring my check home and I show my mother, and all of a sudden I see this look on her face, and I said, what's wrong? And she said, you know, they started you at $1 more an hour than they pay me after 4 years doing the same job. I did have a little girl in a town hall in Nevada. I love calling on the kids in these town halls. You never know what they're going to say. This little girl, she got the microphone, she looked up at me and she goes, if you're a girl president, will you make the same amount of money as a boy president? I said, well, I think so. I haven't checked it lately, but I think so. And you know what? We have to make sure that everyone in America has access to quality, affordable health care. And I want to applaud again your governor, because he's been waging a really important fight here in the Commonwealth. You know, this is one of these issues where ideology trumps evidence. The states that have expanded Medicaid, fully paid for in the beginning by the federal government, they've actually seen insurance rates drop. They've been able to keep rural and small town hospitals open. And they've been able to take care of hundreds and hundreds and millions of people. And yet, here in Virginia, despite the evidence, ideology basically has clouded the calculation. And so Terry's been struggling with his legislature to do what is not only good for the people who would get health care, but good for everybody. So I want to applaud him again for taking on this fight for quality, affordable health care. Now, in addition to having a plan so that you can refinance your student debt, I want to put college within the reach of more people again. Tuition has gone up more than anything else in the last 10 years. I have a plan so that if you go to a 4-year public college or university, you will not have to borrow money for tuition. And if you do national service, if you go into a service profession after you finish, you'll have even a better deal. Because it's not right that hard-working, talented young people are unable to get the education they're pursuing because they cannot afford it. That is not the America we want for our children and our grandchildren.
That's right.
So in all of these fights, to make sure the Republicans don't privatize Social Security, to make sure they don't demonize hardworking immigrants, we are going to run a campaign that asks all of you to be part of doing what we need to reach out to as many of your friends and neighbors as possible. Because we want to run this campaign on a real agenda, just like Terry did. I want the American people to know exactly what I will do from the first hour after I am sworn in.
Yeah. And it ain't calling BB Netanyahu.
I can't do this without your help. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so thrilled to see all of you here in Virginia, because Virginia will vote on March 1st. And that, of course, is our most fundamental right as Americans, isn't it? The right to vote. There are too many states trying to make it hard for people to vote. Young people, people with disabilities, the elderly, people of color. I want you to be able to vote no matter who you vote for. Of course I want your vote. But as your president, I will fight any effort to disenfranchise any American anywhere. And I'm running for president to protect our families and communities from the plague of gun violence.
Yeah.
Both heartbreaking and infuriating that we lose an average of 90 Americans every day because of guns.
Sinful.
And no matter what anybody says, this is not an urban problem. This is a problem in small towns and suburbs, on college campuses and movie theaters, even in the basement of a church. I want to publicly thank your governor for signing an executive order that prohibits the open carry of guns in state government buildings. And also for creating a task force to better prosecute gun crimes. That is the kind of sensible reform we should all be able to get behind. In fact, we know that the majority of Americans and the majority of gun owners agree with us on this.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, I've been told to stop shouting about guns. Actually, I haven't been shouting, but sometimes when a woman talks, some people think. And I hope you won't be either.
No.
I will keep speaking out, and I will keep taking on the NRA. In fact, the question for responsible gun owners has to be, how many more people have to die before we take action? And I would love to see gun owners start a competing organization. The NRA basically represents the manufacturers and the sellers. And one of the most outrageous votes that I ever had to take when I was in the Senate was an NRA bill to give immunity to gun manufacturers and sellers for just about everything.
Yep.
It was unique. No other industry in America has anything like it. And it's basically an NRA gift to gun manufacturers and gun sellers. It's wrong, And we have to stand against it. And we have to fight to repeal it. Everybody in this country should be responsible and accountable for their actions. And that includes gun manufacturers, gun sellers, and the NRA. Now I think these are all fights worth taking on. And I am ready with your help to do that. As I said the other night at the debate, I am a progressive who likes to get things done. And yes, I know how to find common ground. I did it in the Senate. I did it as Secretary of State. I will certainly do it as President. I will go anywhere, anytime, to meet with anybody to find common ground. But I also know how to stand my ground. And you deserve a nominee and a president with the solutions and the determination to actually make a difference in your lives and in our country's future.
Yes.
So we have a lot of work ahead of us, my friends.
Yeah.
Because there are people out there with a very different vision for our country, and that's worthy of a great debate. And there are the allies of those on the other side who will say, do, and spend whatever it takes to advance their own out-of-touch, out-of-date agenda. So here's my promise to you. Other candidates may be out there hurling insults at everyone, talking about what's wrong with America, wanting to divide us. I still believe there is nothing wrong with America. They can't be fixed by building on what's right with America. Let's together make sure our country is one where we lift each other up and leave no one behind. I am grateful for the hundreds of thousands of grassroots activists who are joining this campaign. The veterans and workers, the students, the teachers, the parents, the grandparents across our country. And I'm especially proud of the women who are supporting my campaign in record numbers. You know, you hear a lot these days about the super PACs and the billionaire mega donors, but a lot of people don't realize my campaign is being built by small donors. People giving $1, $5, whatever they can afford. Over 90% of my donations come from donors giving $100 or less. And I have some great news. As of today, more than 500,000 people have donated to my campaign, and we're going to keep increasing that number. Because at the end, this campaign doesn't belong to me. It belongs to you and to the millions of Americans we are fighting for, and that we want to be a part of it. Yes. So, whether you've ever been involved in a campaign before, whether you've ever voted before, there is a place for you, not just in my campaign, but when we win and we begin the hard work to make sure our country lives up to our hopes and dreams. Here's something you can do right now. Text JOIN, J-O-I-N, to 47246. Go to HillaryClinton.com for more information. Talk to your friends, your colleagues, your neighbors. Talk to them about how important this election is to our future. You know, every day that I get out on the campaign trail, there's a lot that motivates me. I'll meet somebody who has a story to tell. I'll hear something that really gets me energized, sometimes even more motivated than I was the day before. But what I think about all the time is my granddaughter. And the reason I do is because for those of you who are grandparents, you know that it just focuses your mind unlike anything else that you've ever experienced. Obviously, Bill and I are going to do everything we can to make sure our granddaughter has whatever opportunities she can possibly want in her life. But that's not enough. I'm the granddaughter of a factory worker from Scranton, Pennsylvania. My grandfather went to work in Scranton lace mills and worked hard for so many years so that he could give his sons a better life, and he did. All three of his sons went to college. My father became a small businessman after serving in the Navy in World War II. So I think a lot about not just what's going to happen to my granddaughter, but what's going to happen to all the kids in our country.
Yeah.
What kind of America will they inherit? What kind of world will be waiting for them? Because you see, I don't think you should have to be the granddaughter of a former president to be able to claim the promise of America. I think you should be able to be the granddaughter of a factory worker or the grandson of a truck driver or any child in this country who should have the health care and the education and the opportunities to make the most out of his or her God-given